Americans who visit Canada right now are leaving behind a major surge in COVID-19 cases. It's been brought on in part by the rise of the Delta variant. CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick has more from Washington.
The U.S. is now averaging more than 100,000 new infections a day. The country hasn't seen these kinds of surges in cases since February, and there are a handful of states that are helping to drive these rising case numbers. Among them is Florida. It's one of the hardest hit parts of the country right now. About 20% of the country's new cases and hospitalizations are coming from Florida. Last week, a couple of days in a row, they kept setting and then breaking new records for new daily infections. Louisiana is another state that is helping to drive this surge in cases. Officials there are predicting that things could get worse before they get better. Louisiana is one of the states with the lowest vaccination rates in the country, and officials trying to push residents there to go get vaccinated. The rate has ticked upwards a bit in the last few days, but there's concern it might not be happening quick enough to catch up with the quickly spreading Delta variant in that state. There's also concern about the rising number of hospitalizations as well. That's going up fairly quickly in the U.S. right now, too. A 30% jump nationwide in just a week span. And again, it's states like Florida and Louisiana that are seeing their hospital beds fill up. We've been hearing stories of some hospitals having to transfer patients out of their cities, canceling surgeries. In Austin, Texas this weekend, city officials there sent out an emergency alert to residents telling them that the situation was getting dire, that their health resources were getting very limited. And so residents there are being encouraged to stay home if they can, go out and get vaccinated, though, if they haven't, and to wear a mask. Texas is one of those states where the governor has imposed a law that prohibits local officials from imposing mask mandates. There's also concern about the number of kids ending up in hospital with COVID-19 in recent days as well. Take a listen to Dr. Anthony Fauci's concerns about that.
And there are a lot of children now. All you need to do is do a survey of the pediatric hospitals throughout the country, and you're seeing a considerable number of young people who are not only infected, but who are seriously ill. Again, the numbers compared to the elderly are less, but that's a false comparison. These kids are getting sick. We've really got to make sure we protect them.
Dr. Anthony Fauci also expressing concern about what started in South Dakota this weekend, a massive motorcycle rally held in Sturgis, an annual festival. Last year, hundreds of cases were linked to it, and that was without the more contagious Delta variant circulating. So he and others worried about this potentially being a super spreader event, and of course this occurring as cases continue to rise in this country. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Washington.
I spoke more about the surge of COVID-19 cases in the United States last hour with Dr. Ali Khan. He's a former Assistant U.S. Surgeon General and Dean of the College of Public Health at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha. I asked him why infections are on the rise in his country when vaccines are so readily available.
So it's a combination of things, and as you said earlier in your story, the Delta variant is definitely more infectious and more severe than the Alpha variant, which was the last surge in the United States. And unfortunately, while we're lucky that over 80% of 65 and older are vaccinated, so that we're not seeing as many deaths as we did during our previous surge, there's a lot of people, in about 90 million in the U.S. who are unvaccinated. And so we have unvaccinated people, and then we've not really had widespread use of public health measures like indoor masking for everybody, and that's where we are today.
Now, from your perspective, is that because there's a lack of information or lack of understanding, or are people being defiant?
So I think we need to be careful that there's probably three different reasons why people are not currently vaccinated. The large group of people are just concerned about safety, and they're the wait and see group. We're hopeful that with more mandates, for example, Walmart, Disney, United are all mandating that the workers get vaccinated, and hopefully soon the vaccine will be fully approved in the United States. We're hoping that those individuals will get vaccinated. There's also some individuals who still have difficulty getting access to vaccine. They're concerned about cost. It's free in the United States, by the way, and it's readily available, but some people don't understand that. They're worried about taking time off from work. And then there's a small group of people who truly just don't trust government and don't want to get vaccinated, and they are proving very difficult to reach.
So how do you get around that lack of trust?
So for the small group of people with the lack of trust, we're hoping that approval of the vaccine, full approval of the vaccine by our Food and Drug Administration will make a difference. And it's really important for the political leadership in America to have a single voice about the importance about getting vaccinated. This has been a problem in the United States since the beginning of the pandemic. It remains a problem today, and we are currently seeing this play out in schools where many states are taking different approaches. So the appropriate approach is to make sure that all kids are masked within schools, but some governors have dug in their heels and put in laws in place that said there will be no masking of kids, and actually others have said we're not even going to do any public health measures like isolate kids who are exposed.